Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. So happy to welcome Jackie Hemsworth. She's from Access. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Now, the first question, of course, is what is Access? Let's find out.
Sure. Well, Access Shelter is an emergency shelter for single women and women with minor children, 18 years old and younger, who are in need of an emergency place to stay. So we're a temporary place for people to be when they have insecure housing or without a place to stay.
First of all, where are you located?
We are located near downtown Akron, and we are right near St. V's High School and right on West Market Street there.
Serving what areas then?
We are primarily Summit County, but really we see women and children from all over Northeast Ohio. We don't really put stipulations on the people that come to our shelter. So if someone's in need, they can get through our hotline and come to our shelter.
When you say temporary, how many nights are they able to stay with you?
Our goal is to have people moved to permanent housing within 30 days, but really that's not a hard and fast rule. For some people, they can do it more quickly than that. And for some people, it takes longer. And so we're in it with them for the long game. So we're going to stick with them till they find a place.
They don't hit a time limit and then are put out?
No, absolutely not. So we really know that there's a lot of layers to the issue. And for some women and families, it's going to take longer and they need to work through those barriers to get to the next point.
Are you working with anyone that makes it possible for them to have permanent housing? What
Absolutely.
connections do you have there?
Yes, we could not do it without our community partners. And there's a nice network in Summit County and Northeast Ohio of other providers that are doing supportive housing, that are doing affordable housing, that makes it possible for us to be exiting families into permanent housing. So there are rapid rehousing providers in our community. We have the public housing authorities who are serving the population that we're serving and really enable us to serve the next family that needs something and really providing the permanent housing in the community.
There's really not a face of homelessness, is there? It just covers the gamut, doesn't it? Can you help me try and understand this, Jackie?
Absolutely. I think people would be surprised if they were to come into our shelter and have conversations with any of the moms and women there. They're just like you and I.
Wow.
And wanting the same things for their families, wanting the same things for their lives, and perhaps have not had the family supports or the fallbacks that maybe some of us have had, and are trying to make a better life.
Yeah.
We have probably over 50% of the people that are at our shelter are working, and they're working every day, and they're working really hard. So there's often a misconception that people aren't working, are not trying hard enough. But the odds can be stacked against someone who's trying to get out of that situation. So sometimes going to work every day isn't all that's needed.
Well, and you think about it, if a woman is single with a little family,
Absolutely.
working a full-time job, living at a homeless shelter, how do you begin to dig yourself out and get into, how do you start? How do you get that better job? How do you go to school to get what you need?
Yes.
To get that better job?
Yes.
What do you do in those situations? How do you help them?
It's a complex issue. And for each family, each mom that comes in, the first thing is to really get them settled, get them comfortable. It's disorienting to come into a homeless shelter. It can be embarrassing. No one wants to end up at a shelter and say, hey, I need some help getting back on my feet. So we get people settled and we start to establish some trust. And our staff is excellent at doing that, making those connections. And then we get down to the hard work of, talking through the issues. What are your barriers personally? And everybody's life is a little bit different,
Right.
And identifying what are those issues, what can we do, what's the game plan, and really writing it down. But at the top of everyone's list, the goal is to exit with permanent housing. And for many people, that also includes, yes, trying to get a higher paying job, get a job that's more steady, maybe finding childcare that's more reliable, getting transportation that's more reliable. It can be very challenging to go to work every day if you don't have a car and to get kids to school or get them to childcare. So there's a lot of things to be worked on in a very short period of time while they're at the shelter.
I should know this, but I don't, so I'll ask you. Is there childcare provided on site at the shelter?
So we do have some childcare, I will say. While mom is with us, we offer classes, we offer mental health counseling, we have a clinic on site. And while mom is participating in those activities on site, we have childcare available. We are not a licensed daycare facility, so mom cannot leave little ones there while she goes to work. So we work very closely with the Department of Job and Family Services to do some expedited help with child care subsidies for the families that are staying with us so that they can use a licensed child care facility.
What kinds of classes do you offer?
Oh, wow. So I was just looking at our numbers from 2019, and we offered 110 classes, which is pretty awesome. And they really range from what we would maybe call the soft skills, but that are really important, like self-esteem and being able to feel strong again. Because if you can imagine walking through those doors with your kids, doesn't feel so good and you don't feel so strong. But we want to give them back that feeling of being in control of their lives. And so we have self-esteem class, we have conflict management class. And then we, of course, have those really important things like job readiness, that getting you ready to go to work, and how to fill out the job application so someone gives you a call for the job interview. And then what do you wear to the interview? And how do you talk about yourself and your great qualities that would make you an excellent employee?
I want to go so many different directions after just hearing that. Let's go back to the self-confidence part of it, the embarrassment that you mentioned going through. How do you turn that back into dignity? I think most people that come to a homeless shelter do want to say, I'm really better than this. You're seeing me at my lowest point.
Sure.
And how do you get them back to that dignity that God's created them for a purpose?
I love that you're using the word dignity, because we've been using that word a lot lately at the shelter. And we are actually turning a really close eye at ourselves as an organization and how are we treating the people that we serve. And we think that it's very important that we set the bar high for how the people we serve are treated. We want to treat them with the utmost respect, the utmost dignity, to show them that they deserve to be treated like any of us.
Yes.
You know, many times people in poverty, people who are experiencing homelessness are marginalized by the systems that serve them even, and by other people in our community. And it doesn't need to be that way. And I think sometimes that's teaching those people that that's all they deserve. And I don't want that anymore. And we don't want that as an organization. And so we're really taking a tough eye at ourselves even. And how can we do better at embracing treating everyone the best that we can?
Yes.
And so that's from the first time someone walks in the door to the environment that they're spending time in while they're at the shelter, and making sure it's a comfortable environment, that it's not like a jail, and it's not, that it's more like a home, a temporary home, but a home just the same, where they can feel comfortable and exercise some choice within their day. And it's not, while it has to be some structure to a day when you're a big shelter, but still some choice within your day. I think that's really important.
And to pick up some homemaking skills to take to their forever home.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What about when you said they get that job interview and they want to be able to go and want to know how to dress? Do you have, or is there some kind of an agency that provides clothing for like interview clothing and work clothes?
I love that you asked this. So we have a 1-week course called Stepping Stones. We have a wonderful facilitator, Rachel, who comes in and she does this 1-week class from beginning to end, getting ready for job interviews, getting ready for all of that. And day 4 of this week is going to the store and picking out an interview outfit. And we go to the thrift store because we are able to show people that you can dress appropriately but within your budget.
Yes.
And, she's providing the clothing that day, but she's showing them how to dress appropriately and helping them shop alongside of them. And so then they have an outfit ready to go. We also have a clothing closet at Access. So in a pinch, we also have some other things ready to go. And we take clothing on occasion to stock our clothing room and have the dress shoes and all of that. Yes.
That was my very next question, because can you take some donations along those lines? People retire and they have all these work clothes hanging in the closet.
Sure. We can take some. We are very we like to joke that we are utterly short on storage space at the shelter. We try to fill our space with people that need us, but we do have our clothing room. We stock brand new underwear and socks.
Nice.
For all of our residents, so they get that when they come in. New PJs for mom and the kids. We want to make sure, everyone wants a nice, clean set of pajamas when they get there. And one of the things that we did in 2019 was an initiative to make sure all the kids had a brand new pair of tennis shoes to be ready to go to school. So we've kind of carried that along into the new year, and we think that's a good use of our space right now. But we do take some work clothes on occasion. We don't have a lot of use for suits because a lot of the people that we serve are doing more service industry jobs. So they're wearing more of a casual look to an interview. But we can take those items, yes.
Okay. Dress for the job you want to have.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
You mentioned children. That's the most heartbreaking part of all of this. They are complete victims. No choices they made have gotten them there. They did not sign up for this at all. And yet that's where they find reality to be. Talk to me about the children that you're serving.
2019 at Access was the Year of the Child. And that came about, we of course, compile a lot of data every year. And year over year, we were seeing more than 50% of the people that come in our door are under the age of 18. So roughly around 250, 260 people per year under the age of 18 are at Access. Wow. And really from 0 to 18 years of age, we do tend to skew a little bit younger. Teenagers don't tend to want to come in to the shelter as much as the younger kids have less of a choice. They're coming with mom, and teenagers sometimes find a place to stay with a friend or another family member.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of little ones, and we try to give children the best possible experience that we can while they're with us during that short time. And we really took a look at the services that we were providing and what can we do to make an impact to perhaps break that cycle of poverty and homelessness with the younger generation. And so we were able to get some grants. We started an expressive therapy program for our children. So we now have art therapy and group therapy for the children. We did try music therapy for a bit, but they didn't take to it as much as the art therapy.
Really? They like the art.
I know. So we do art therapy every week and group therapy.
Nice.
And our big project for kids is we're getting a reading room here next month. And we had worked towards that all last year. And we were very lucky to be connected with a contractor in the area that is donating it to us, which is wonderful, so that it will be filled with brand new books for children. And we will have a volunteer reading program. So we will have story time several times a week for our kids. And when they leave the shelter, they can take their favorite books with them.
Oh, how nice. How about toys and things like little tyke stuff and play kitchens and wood shops and things?
Yes. So at the shelter, we have a playroom for our kids that can be in there with mom anytime, or while mom's in class with us or with a provider, we have some child. That's where our child care is. And so all the regular things that you would see in a playroom,
Good.
that's what we have. The play kitchens, the dolls, the trains, all of
Good.
that. And then we also have a teen room for our kids that are 11 and up, and that has the game systems and the basketball hoop and all of that, and the computer. So it's a place for them to really be themselves.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
We're visiting with Jackie Hemsworth. She's from Access Shelter. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community. Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Jackie Hemsworth from Access Shelter. Sometimes people don't want to move into a shelter because there are rules.
Yes.
What kinds of rules do you have for the residents?
Well, our rules are really based around safety and security. That's
Yes.
got to be the top of the line when you have, more than a couple people in a building at one time. That's our main concern, is keeping a group of people safe all at one time. So some of our rules are really standard kinds of rules that you might see in a public situation. So no fighting. No weapons, no drugs and alcohol brought into our shelter, no threatening behavior of people. But those are the big ones.
Yes.
Those are the big ones. And those are the most important things that I can think of. Most of the other things can be worked out.
Yeah.
So we're looking at basic kinds of things. While people are in shelter, it's a lot of people having to live together, and that's tough. That's tough. It's a lot of personalities. Each family has their own bedroom with a door on it, so you do have some of your own personal space, but it's hard, and I empathize with that. I can understand why it would be difficult.
Does each family have their own kitchen, or is it a
No. So
it's
we do.
shared?
We have our own kitchen. And we have cooks. We provide all the meals. So families and women don't need to cook. We cook and serve every day. We have a continental breakfast that's out for 3 hours in the morning with hot and cold items. And then lunch and dinner is typically a hot meal. And then there's snacks out all day.
So that's like home.
It's like home,
You
and
can
if
have snacks
kids
anytime.
need, if they need a lunch for work or school, we can provide bagged lunch for them also. And if someone is working through lunch or dinner and they're going to be back to the shelter after those meal times, we can save a meal for them. So we work really closely with our local food bank, and they provide probably 80% of our food.
They're awesome.
They are amazing.
Yeah.
I can't say enough good things about our food bank.
Yeah. I would think one jolt to the system, though, would be, as a young mom is getting her family on their feet in a home of their own, she suddenly has to cook. So do you have any of these classes that prepare her for that?
We don't have any cooking classes, but I will tell you, I think we probably have some pretty amazing cooks that are staying with us, because I've heard a lot of talk about, I wish I could cook. I miss cooking. I miss doing that for my family. And I think there's a lot of that, that self-esteem tied to being able to provide even a meal for your family.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think myself as a mom, I like to bake for my family. And that's how I give my love.
Yep.
And the calories. But I think the moms in the shelter are the same way, and they're missing that piece.
Well, as you talk about self-esteem, it's immediate gratification because you've got something and everybody around you is going, that just makes you feel great, makes you want to do it more.
Exactly.
Yeah, for those of us who love to cook, there's a reason you need to.
Yeah.
It is. It's fun. What then, how do we help you get these people out of the shelter? As lovely as you make it, no one wants that to be their permanent home. So to be able to help them with the goal being to leave you, how do we help you get them there? I'm thinking they might need furniture and lamps and basics, pots and pans. And
we do get starter kits. We have a group in the community that does provide some starter kits, so that when our families are getting ready to go, we have some of those basics to provide to them.
Nice.
And we're very lucky. All of the items that families use at Access, like the new underwear and the socks, and everybody gets a brand new pillow and brand new sheets and brand new blankets while they're there with us.
Nice.
And of course, we go through a lot of toiletries. So,
Yes.
but all of that really is provided to us by our community.
That's wonderful.
We have such a generous community here in Northeast Ohio. I can't
True.
begin to tell you how much people give from the goodness of their heart, and it makes it possible for us to in turn give those to the people that we serve. Some of the things that we need volunteers.
Great.
All the time. We are working very hard to build up a base of volunteers at Access, and we can take families, we can take church groups, we can take school groups, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, individuals, retired people, young people. So we really have so many different things that we can match you up with something that we need at the shelter. Everyone has something to give.
Absolutely. What types of volunteer services are required?
Well, we let people make and serve meals at our shelter. We have a few cooks, but it's only 2 cooks, and there's lots of meals, and sometimes they could use some extra hands, or they might need a day off, and we could use help or something different.
Sure.
We need volunteers in our childcare area. The more volunteers we can have in childcare, the more hours of childcare we can offer to our moms while they apply for jobs online, or they spend some time for themselves while they're at the shelter. So administrative work around our shelter. There's lots of maintenance work. We are a very small staff, and we're open 365, 24 hours a day, and we're under 30 staff.
Oh, my goodness.
So the volunteer needs are great.
How many, you did mention over 200 young people were served last year. How many people are you serving at any one time?
So at any given time, we have 11 bedrooms for families, and then the 12th bedroom can serve 8 single women. So it's kind of dormitory style. We have some large families. So when we have large families, we might have 50 people in the shelter. If we have lots of small families, it might be closer to the 30 or 35 person mark. So it's really depends on the demographic or the composition of the family.
You have a Youth Impact Day coming up. Tell me about that.
We do. So last year, we made a change to our spring schedule. And, you know, like most nonprofits, we do some fundraisers. And we decided that we were getting a lot of phone calls from families in the community that said, hey, we have a great life, but I want to teach my children how to give back in the community.
Right.
And I want to show my kids that there are people out there in our community that might need a hand. And so we came up with Youth Impact Day.
That what I am always reinforcing, or we were always reinforcing with our kids, that don't live that far away from us. Sometimes you feel like you need to hop on a boat or a plane to go somewhere to serve, when we can find you can go down the street just a couple of miles.
Exactly.
And there are people living very differently than you are.
Exactly. So we started something called Youth Impact Day.
Nice.
This year is on April 18th. It's a Saturday. It coincides with National Youth Day of Service. And this is open to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. We have 2 different sessions where they can attend with or without a parent. And it's just a couple hours in the morning or the afternoon. And they get to learn how to give their time, talent, and treasure.
Awesome.
It's a quick morning. You can come with your friends. You get to do a service project at the shelter. And then there's opportunities through the rest of the year to be a leader at Access and to give back. We had a wonderful first year of the event last year. Met some astounding kids and their families who were just really ready to get in there and make a difference. And it's free to attend.
Awesome.
This is a free event. All you have to do is bring something for one of the kids at the shelter.
Tell me some of the feedback you got last year.
You know, I got to meet a lot of the kids, but I also got to meet their parents because their parents were there doing something separate. So I got to meet the parents and then see the kids. The kids made blankets for the shelter. And to see them engaging with kids from other schools and other neighborhoods, and to see them coming together to support people in their community that they didn't know, that they had never met, was so heartwarming. It gives me a lot of hope.
Absolutely. Do the kids actually interact with some of the people who are residents there?
So we didn't do interaction the first year. And, I'm not sure that we'll get to that point or not. We do try to make sure that our residents are never on display.
Exactly. Yeah, that was my concern as well. So, yes.
So we try to, while our residents will benefit from the service project and benefit from the children being there, maybe not so much. We always worry about that, and we try to be sensitive to our residents because
there's a bit of a buffer there, some
yes.
identity protection and so forth.
Yes.
What did the kids say to you, though, after their ability to, knowing that they're doing something that's going to help another person?
I think they were so proud. They were showing off the blankets. They got certificates, and they were, doing the social media check-ins from the shelter and showing off to their friends.
Neat.
And that felt great. I mean, I loved seeing that they were willing to engage. They were proud of what they did, and it was not that embarrassing thing that they had to go do with their mom on Saturday morning. So I think it gave them a real sense of accomplishment, of purpose. And don't we all want that?
Sure. We need to find what that is when we're here. How old can you be, or do you need to be, to participate in Youth Impact Day?
It's 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. If we have like a 6th, 7th, or 8th grader that has a younger sibling that wants to attend, we can make accommodation for that.
All right. And how do you sign up?
Go to our website. It's access-shelter.org.
access-shelter.org. And you can find probably other volunteer opportunities as well.
Yes, yes.
Jackie, what you're talking about, it's just one of those things that we need to keep top of our mind. It's so easy to just get so busy in our day. But how hard is it really when we're making a Target run or something to throw in an extra big pack of toilet paper or an extra or feminine hygiene products or those things that you're going to need and go through on a daily basis, and it's nothing to buy one more of those and deliver that up to you.
Right. And we have a wish list on our website.
Awesome.
All you have to do is it changes all the time depending on what we need. We refresh it all the time. Runs the gamut of like big things to little things. You can find anything. We also have an Amazon wish list. So if you're a Prime shopper or an Amazon person, you just click on our Amazon wish list. You can purchase something and they'll ship it right to us. So you don't even have to get in your car and drive it down to us.
They make it so easy, don't they? Love them. Okay, that's Access Shelter, Jackie Hemsworth. Give us the website one more time, please.
Sure. It's access-shelter.org.
Thanks so much for all you do in our community.
Thank you.